All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Anacortes City Council meeting of December 15th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Franchuk, would you take the roll, please?
Mr. Fantini.
Here.
Mr. Young. Mr. Walters.
Here.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Here.
Ms. Moulton.
Here.
Mr. McDougall.
Here.
Ms. Hubick.
Here.
Thank you.
Mayor Miller.
Mr. Walters.
Mr. Young was unable to be here tonight and requests that we excuse his absence.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Walters, a second by Mr. Fantini to excuse Mr. Young. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, our first order of business, the council will now meet in closed session to discuss collective bargaining as allowed by RCW 4230-140. The council will be in executive session until 6:31, so 30 minutes, and we'll be back. And we don't intend to take any action, so we'll see in a bit. The city council is extending the executive session for a period of 10 minutes until 6:41 p.m. Thank you. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the City Council back to order. Time is 6:41. So we'll move on from our closed session. And
Mayor Miller?
Mr. McDougall.
I move to add Agenda Item 8A, Resolution 3198, authorizing the signature and execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Anacortes and Teamsters Union Local Number 231 from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second, and the agenda item is now added, new 8A. All right, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, thank you all for your patience on that. I've got announcement and committee reports up first. And my first announcement is really just a thanks, particularly to our Public Works Department. Last week, I know we still have some wind to deal with and some more rain with these atmospheric rivers, but multiple events across the city, particularly if you didn't know, our water treatment plant is on the Skagit River. So we were very concerned about that. But most of all, thanks to all the department heads who made sure they checked on our employees and their families that are in the floodplain, because we have a lot of employees that do actually live in the 100-year floodplain and had to be evacuated. The river crested at 37.7, which is a new record in Mount Vernon, but fortunately did not breach the levees. Again, we do provide water to 56,000 customers, and again, particularly to the not only, and we had some sewer issues in town as well, and stormwater. So again, big thanks to everybody in Public Works, but particularly at the plant, our NTU numbers. So I was like, what does NTU stand for? It's basically turbidity, but the N in NTU, and I'll mispronounce this, nephthymetric turbidity units. And typically the river has 30 to 50 of that turbidity number, and it was upwards of 1,100 during the height of the flooding. But the bottom line is clean drinking water is 3 or less. We were producing 1 or less, so through that whole event. So again, we're still producing great, awesome drinking water at the water treatment plant. So, and again, thanks to the folks who are willing to be stranded there and to keep producing that water. Also, thanks to the departments that participated in the Winter Wonderland. It was always well received over the weekend, so that was great. And let's see, also just a heads up for council. We talked about this during the council procedures discussion, trying to let council know when there are quasi-judicial decisions coming up. So January 5th, council will be asked to make decision on framework development plan and shoreline substantial development plan related to the Port of Anacortes West Basin. February 9th, council will be asked to make decisions on the a unit lot subdivision for a 21-unit cottage development on 17th Street. So there will be an agenda associated right-of-way vacation request on that agenda as well. So just a heads up that those are quasi-judicial decisions coming up. Okay, I think that's all I have for announcements. Next is Public Works Committee.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Moulton.
Thank you. The Public Works Committee met at 5 p.m. today, and Interim Public Works Director Logan Lee was there, Stormwater Manager Aaron Esterholt, and Wastewater Treatment Manager Brian Walker. And in addition to what Mayor Miller already let us know about the flooding, some of the things that we had happen here in town required a lot of quick thinking and action by our Public Works Department all the way around. On Q Avenue on Wednesday, we had about 2 inches of rain here in about 24 hours. And so we had a sanitary sewer overflow incident wherein the intake capacity was exceeded. And so the road was closed from about 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And fortunately, we have council approved a contract for a combined sewer overflow pump station that should be completed by the end of July in time for next winter, which should prevent those kind of occurrences from happening. And Also, last Monday, there was a backup on M Avenue. A liner failed in a pipe, and 2 houses were damaged by water backing up. Fortunately, there was an immediate response, and also the contractor who did the work responded, and it's under warranty, and that will be taken care of. And there was also a pipe that failed on West Fifth, and that was Wednesday and overflowed the ditch over by Kansas, and that was taken care of as well, and we'll need some work out there also. So I just wanted to give a shout out again, kind of like Mayor Miller did, but our Public Works team worked very, very hard, and Stormwater Manager Aaron Esterholt has been at the Emergency Operations Center in Skagit County, working with officials from around the county, and it was very great that he was there and very much appreciated by the other participants. And the county had assured him on multiple occasions that the water treatment plant was of paramount importance to them as well, and that they would do anything that they could do to help. And the staff at the water treatment plant were there, prepared to spend nights, and did spend nights, and handled everything really well, very professionally, and very coolly under pressure. So we're very thankful to all of them. And yeah, hoping for no more flooding. So that's pretty much it for that report. I also wanted to give a shout out to the Anacortes Museum on what day was it? There was an opening for the Music of Anacortes exhibit that will be there for the next 2 years, and it's showcasing music from like indigenous times all the way up through the present. It's a fantastic exhibit, and Bob Vokes from the Parks Department played in his band Burl with Brian Elliott, another person who grew up here, and it was fantastic. It was a great turnout, and it was a really great example of how the museum is engaging the community and our history and our living continual history and the multi-generational things that are going on here. It was great to see kids and families and older people, and it was just a fantastic event. So I encourage you all to check out that exhibit and look forward to more music performances in the years ahead. If you get a chance, check them out. They're well worth attending. Thanks.
Thank you. Just one more note that I forgot on the flooding. There are still roads closed in Skagit County, all over Skagit County, particularly in East County, but also in Burlington. There are a number of roads closed, so please do not ignore the road closure signs so they can recover appropriately. Any other announcements or committee reports I may have missed? Okay, next up is public comment. A member of the public that wishes to address the council, anything that's not on our agenda tonight. I do have, and council should have received, I think 4 public comments. General public comment about some fiber stuff that was a Ziply issue. Comments on item 6F on the SEPA appeal. Comments on 8C, which is a contract award for tasers. And a comment on ordinance 5013 comprehensive plan. So council should have received all those comments. And I do have one person signed up if you're still here. I appreciate your patience again. I've got I think it's Stan Dunsey, but this is why you got to state. This is why you got to state your name. State your name because I can't either read one of the letters or I'll mispronounce. So please state your name and the city you live in for the record, and make sure the. Dury, okay.
Judd.
Is the microphone on? Make sure the green light's on at the base there.
There we go.
There.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect.
Sorry about that. Before my question, I do have just a quick question. Before that, I just want to acknowledge the great job that everybody did for the winter walk. Traffic control and all the time and effort that went into that. We had the chance to go out there and take the walk, so I just want to give a thanks on that. My question has to do with the turning lanes, or the former turning lanes at 12th and Commercial. I've had the opportunity to notice probably half a dozen instances where people have used the old turning lane to turn, ignoring the white lines, ignoring part of it may just be habit, who knows? But my question really is, A, has that come up before? Have you heard mention of that as a safety concern? And then, will the new lighting, or is there signage as part of the completion of the project that might ameliorate that safety concern?
Well, is that all are you complete with your comments, sir?
Well, that's my question.
Okay, yeah, so there's still more work to be done on that
Right.
intersection, including the lighting system. We hope that the advanced lighting system that replaces the oldest system in the WashDOT inventory, those traffic lights are the oldest in the WashDOT inventory, interestingly enough, but we hope to, when the poles are replaced and the lights are replaced, that hopefully will help, but we'll keep that info in mind about
Yeah.
enforcement on the.
I noticed that, out at D, putting those pylons in there solved the problem up there.
But thank
Hope
you.
it's not necessary
Yeah.
here, but anyway, thank you.
Appreciate the comments. All right, anybody else? Okay, come on up.
Hi, good evening, council members and mayor. For the record, Robert Knoll with Puget Sound Energy. We're at 1660 Park Lane in Burlington. I wanted to comment now on the easement that's before you later in your agenda, but because I'm here tonight, obviously, as we've had a couple, different weather systems that have really been challenging, just wanted to address that real quick. Electric system's doing well in Skagit County tonight. We had about 2,000 customers out in Skagit that we are mostly restored, but have folks who we can't get to at this point, which we're still waiting on access. Had about 37,000 customers out and across our whole system, and we're about 60% restored for that. We're looking at a system coming in again tomorrow, similar wind speeds that we're looking at for tonight, so hopefully, we'll hold up well here like we did today, but watching that very closely and have crews ready to respond. And then just wanted to talk real quickly about the lease agreement before you. Really want to thank city staff and folks for working on this. This has been a long time that this has been an outstanding issue. So I want to shout out Darcy Sweetnam, Jenna Miller, and John Lunsford, city staff for working on that. We understand that resources are tough with cities right now, so it does take time and expense to get to agreement on this. We think this is a win-win, so PSC is proud to be here today. Hopefully you can support that and vote yes. With that, I think that is all I wanted to say. I did leave my card with each one of you, so if you have things any questions that come up in the next couple of days, or, we are in storm season, as we like to call it, so if you have questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. So, good night.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the audience, public comment, that haven't signed up? Okay, checking online. Okay, we will move on to our consent agenda. It's a long one, items 6A through I. Council.
Mayor Miller,
Ms. Moulton.
I move to approve consent agenda items A through I.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Moulton, a second by Mr. Fantini to approve consent agenda items A through I. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next up is item 7. This is a public hearing on resolution 3199, relinquishment of easement to the Port of Anacortes. This is a discussion item with possible action, and it is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing at this time. Let Ms. Swetnam take it from there, but then I expect to close the public hearing shortly thereafter. Ms. Swetnam, when you're ready.
Thanks, Mayor Miller, members of council, and members of the audience. So tonight, I'm introducing Resolution 3199 and the public hearing for the relinquishment of an easement to the Port of Anacortes. So the background here is there were a couple of streets that were vacated by two different ordinances, 1201 and 2086. They vacated the streets but retained an easement for the full width of the street as for utility purposes. So we've held those easements. The city has limited infrastructure in the area, but the easements at this point, because it's a bigger footprint than the city actually needs, is impacting and interfering with the port's ability to proceed with a West Basin development, specifically in the area where the event facility is proposed to be sited. So the port has requested that the city relinquish that easement, and in exchange, they've proposed to grant the city easements for the water and storm infrastructure that are in the area that are specifically tailored to where that infrastructure needs to be. So staff is recommending adoption, that we're having a public utility or a public easement we're having a public hearing because the easements are held by a utility, and so state law requires that. Because we like maps. This is a map that was prepared by the port and its team, and it shows this pink hashed area is the proposed relinquishment area. The blue area here, if you can see my cursor, is the proposed water easement. And then this green is the proposed easement for the public storm drain. So these have all been reviewed by city staff and public works, who identified that these are actually where the infrastructure is and needs to be, and that they meet the city's needs. So we're recommending approval tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions. And also, we're joined tonight by John Dumas, the executive director at the port, and we're also joined by Adam Morrow, who is the port's project manager on the project. So, and I believe the port wanted to say a couple of words as well.
Yeah, call on up then. It's a public hearing.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Adam Morrow, I'm with Pacific Surveying and Engineering, and I'm here representing the Port of Anacortes on this topic, which is probably somewhat familiar to most, or if not all of you, because there's a lot of these type of cleanup items that we've been working on over the last few years. This is certainly one of them. I wanted to help tie this into the larger picture a little bit for you, and let you know what's coming your way, because there are some things that are heading your way pretty soon. You may recall there were a couple of interlocal agreements between the city and the port that were recently approved and completed. This is part and parcel to some of those agreements. We can't complete what we were talking about doing without extinguishing these old easements, these remnant easements, if you will. And also the framework plan, which will be the first framework plan, I believe, in the city of Anacortes, is coming to the council next month, I believe, as a closed record hearing item. And we were excited to get unanimous approval or recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission was it just last week? Oh, it's hard to believe. What a week it's been, right? So there are legal exhibits in your packet, and you can see here this is more of a conceptual layout of what some of the development areas are looking like in that area. One nice thing about developing new easements for public utilities in this area is once we do that, then the city Public Works Department will have the ability to work with the port to amend those easements in the future if needed to accommodate the development without having to come to the council every time we have to make an adjustment to an easement. So that's one of the nice things about what we're asking you guys to look at tonight. And I will mention that these easements that are remnant easements, they were reserved dating back to the 1950s. That's the oldest one of these right-of-way vacations that happen. It's not uncommon to see this practice with right-of-way vacations, but it just happens to be, and in this case, it causes a few little problems with the development. So I wanted to make a quick note as well. John actually asked me to make this note, which is that on Thursday, the Port Commission is slated to provide the executive director with the authority to sign this document and a number of other documents that are going to support the entitlements at that property at the West Basin. So we're very excited about all of this. I'll wrap it up now. We appreciate your consideration of this request, and we stand here ready to answer any questions that you might have, and I'm sure John would be willing to as well, since he's in the audience. Thank you.
All right. Well, because it is a public hearing, any member of the public wish to address the council on this topic? All right. Mr. DeMoss, do you want to say anything? You're good? Okay. Council. Sounds like the maps.
Mayor Miller?
Mr. McDougall.
Yeah, it sounds like no actual questions, so I move to adopt Resolution 3199, grant the port's request to relinquish the retained utility easement in exchange for the port granting the city a water and storm easement, and authorize the mayor to execute the relinquishment.
Second.
A motion by Mr. McDougall and a second by Ms. Hubick to adopt Resolution 3199.
Mayor Miller.
Any additional I
Sorry.
forgot. Yes.
I just was going to remind you to make sure for the record that we close the public hearing.
Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing, and I will remind the council, a motion by Mr. McDougall and a second by Ms. Hubick to adopt Resolution 3199, and the public hearing is now closed. Any additional discussion? All right, Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Mr. Walters?
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath?
Yes.
Ms. Moulton?
Yes.
Mr. McDougall?
Yes.
Ms. Hubick?
Yes.
Mr. Fantini?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we are on to new item 8A under other business, and this is Resolution 3198. This is a labor agreement between the City of Anacortes and Teamsters Local 231 for the contract January 20 collective bargaining agreement 2026 to 2028. And Ms. Moyle will be presenting whenever you're ready.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the audience. Tonight, I'd like to present you regarding our ongoing collective bargaining, specifically our negotiations with Teamsters Union Local 231. As many of you know, the city works with 3 bargaining units and maintains 4 collective bargaining agreements that cover most of our employees. Through the collective bargaining process, we collaborate with each unit on mandatory topics such as wages, hours, and working conditions, along with additional permissive subjects such as staffing levels, employer-provided amenities, schedules, etc. Each of our contracts operates on its own cycle. Currently, both the Commissioned Police Guild and the firefighter contracts are in negotiations, while the non-Commissioned Police Guild finalized their agreement at the end of last year. All of these agreements are available on our website for anyone who would like to review. The Teamster contract is approaching its expiration at the end of this December, which is why we entered into bargaining this fall. Teamsters is our largest bargaining unit, representing approximately 98 employees across a broad range of roles, including fiber, finance, library, municipal court, museum, parks and recreation, planning, and public works. This wide variety of professions comes with diverse needs, and our negotiations reflect that. Bargaining for this contract began in September 2025, and I'm pleased to share with you that we reached a tentative agreement on November 21st. The key economic items we addressed are outlined in the table before you. These include wage adjustments, meal reimbursement during unscheduled emergency overtime, skated call-out pay, an on-call pay adjustment for wastewater treatment plant operators, a new boot allowance for facility maintenance technicians, and an increased CDL reimbursement. Over the first 3 years for each year, the individual increased cost ends up being, I think this thing's in the way, I don't know how to move it. Anyway, it's $1,092,000, but cumulatively, there it is, $1,092,000. Cumulatively, over the 3-year agreement, it's an approximate increase of $2.26 million. On On December 4th, the Teamsters membership voted to ratify the contract. With your approval, we intend for the agreement to take effect on January 1st, 2026. To move forward, city staff recommends that the Anacortes City Council adopt Resolution 3198, authorizing execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Anacortes and Teamsters Union Local 231 for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Thank you for your time this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Malone. Council questions?
Mayor Miller.
Mr. McDougall?
No questions. I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 3198, authorizing the signature and execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Anacortes and Teamsters Union Local Number 231 from January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McDougall, a second by Mr. Fantini to adopt Resolution 3198. Additional discussion? Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Yes.
Ms. Moulton.
Yes.
Mr. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. Hubick.
Yes.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes.
Mr. Walters.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, and thank you for all that hard work and good collaboration between staff and our bargaining units. Okay, next up is newly numbered item 8B, which is Resolution 3197, rejecting all bids for Public Safety Building AC replacement project. This is an action item. And Mr. Lee.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. Tonight I'm bringing forward a resolution to reject all bids received for the Public Safety Building air conditioning replacement project. As a reminder, this project addresses the failed air conditioning system serving the police department. The city only received one bid, and that bid proposes using refrigerant that appears on the state's list of prohibited substances. Systems using this refrigerant are being phased out, and as a result, there's uncertainty regarding long-term serviceability, including the availability of replacement parts and of the refrigerant itself. And so we believe it is in the city's best interest to further consult with industry experts and develop a plan to ensure that any replacement system is compliant with current and future regulations and represents a sustainable long-term solution. So we still plan on replacing the air conditioning. We just want to do it the correct way that serves the best interest of the city. So that's all I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Council questions?
Mayor Miller.
Mr. Fantini.
I don't have any questions. It seems pretty straightforward to me. So unless there's any discussion, it sounds like there is a plan to still seek out more additional bids. I move that Resolution 3197 be adopted to reject all bids received on December 2nd, 2025 for the Public Safety Building AC Replacement Project 25-268-FAC-001. Second.
Motion by Mr. Fantini, a second by Ms. Hubick to adopt Resolution 3197. Additional discussion? Mr. Walters.
My understanding is that this system has completely failed in the public safety building. The public safety building can't even open the windows because of the way it was constructed for security. And it gets pretty hot in there in the summer. So this is now a multi-step process instead of just a single step, and a pretty high priority item.
Yeah, it's still a very high priority for us. We're going to do it as fast as we can. We just want to do it the right way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Yeah, I just hope that we get some kind of engineer's estimate or more of a discussion at public safety or public works meetings about this. I think from what I've heard is that if we have to do a whole new system, it could be significantly more expensive, and just making sure that we budget accordingly. This seems pretty important to not, to have folks in a building with no open windows. So I hope that this is a higher priority to get done soon.
Do our best. Yes.
All right, any additional discussion? Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Ms. Moulton.
Yes.
Mr. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. Hubick.
Yes.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes.
Mr. Walters.
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item, newly numbered 8C, interlocal amendment NPDES ES Phase 2 Public Outreach and Education. So discussion item, possible action. I think Mr. Esterholt's already there, ready to go, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. This is just an amendment to our interlocal agreement that we have with Skagit County Conservation District. This amendment updates the language and task titles in the existing interlocal contract to align with current NPDES permit terminology and to provide greater flexibility in how stormwater outreach and education are delivered. There's no new cost changes, no new tasks are being added, only updated descriptions and naming.
Any questions? All right. Any motions, perhaps?
Mayor Miller.
Mr. McDougall.
I move the City Council authorize the mayor to sign Amendment 1 to interlocal as presented.
Motion by Mr. McDougall, second by Mr. Walters to approve the amendment to the interlocal as presented. Additional discussion. Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Mr. McDougall?
Yes.
Ms. Hubick?
Yes.
Mr. Fantini?
Yes.
Mr. Walters?
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath?
Yes.
Ms. Moulton?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thanks. I like to continue to do the roll call votes just to make sure that Mr. Franciac stays on top of the changes. So, all right, next up is item 8D, contract award APD Model 10 tasers purchase. This is a discussion item with possible action. Oh, and the chief is almost ready, and I should have saved my comments about roll call votes to give you time to get up here. All right, whenever you're ready, Chief Lloyd. There's the AC.
Tonight, I'm before you to request approval of contract to replace our current issued tasers. And as I stated previously, when I presented this concern to our Public Safety Committee, the tasers that we issue are no longer going to be supported by Taser, and that is necessitating the reason that we're looking for a replacement now. The current tasers that we're carrying are the X26, and these were released in 2013. Since that release, there have been newer versions released. So the ones that we're carrying now are 4 generations old and have been followed by the X2, the 7, and the version that we're requesting authorization to purchase now is the Model 10. Regardless of the version, all tasers work by causing neuromuscular incapacitation for the person that it's deployed on. And this makes them unable to move muscles and allows the officers to take them into custody while they're incapacitated. And it avoids situations where we may have to entertain lethal force options. And so using it as a less lethal option and a de-escalation tool becomes extremely important when we talk about the force options that are available. This Taser 10 is the latest model, as I stated. What's key about this is it has a much longer effective range. So the current version that we're carrying has a maximum range of about 25 feet. The Taser 10 is capable of about 45 feet, allowing an extra 20 feet in between the officer and the subject, which creates safety for the officers on scene, creates additional time to make decisions, allowing the officer more time to process for these use of force encounters. The Taser 10 also has more opportunities to deploy the probes that carry the electrical incapacitating electricity. So the current version, one single trigger pull will deploy 2 probes at the same time, and you have one chance with that cartridge. These have 10 probes, and one is deployed with each trigger pull, so you can more precisely aim. You can avoid areas that are considered tertiary targets or more likely to cause injury. It allows us to be more precise and less likelihood for injury. This also has the ability to provide an arc and a warning sound, which by itself is potentially a de-escalation tool, avoiding the need to even deploy the taser on the individual at all. The device itself is set up to be better managed with other Axon products. For example, our UAV uses the same evidence management system that the information downloads into, so we can keep those records.
Mayor Miller?
Ms. Moulton?
Thanks. Can you remind us what UAV stands for, please?
It's unmanned aerial
Vehicle.
So,
yes, thank you.
drones?
Drones.
Okay.
The drone, basically. So keeping all this in one consolidated evidence system allows us to track the devices, the components, and any evidence that comes from the use of them into one location. Anytime a taser is deployed, we can print out an electronic record of that. It shows the time of day, it shows the duration, it shows how many cycles were used, and so all of that is available later on when we're documenting these use of force incidents. To show some of the increased capabilities, I've also included a video that is part of their promotional and training. So I'll allow this to play, and then afterwards I'll take any questions that you have.
When we set out to develop our next taser energy weapon, we didn't want to create a weapon that was simply a step above our last model. We set out to create a less lethal weapon that could be trusted to immediately stop threats in more situations than ever before. Taser 10 is that weapon and begins a new era in less lethal technology. Like previous taser energy weapons, Taser 10 is designed to induce neuromuscular incapacitation, or NMI. Put simply, it temporarily reduces a person's ability to perform voluntary movement. The Taser 10 is designed to give officers more time and space to safely assess and stop a threat with an increased range of up to 45 feet. That's nearly double the distance of our legacy Taser energy weapons. The Taser 10 features more opportunities to stop a threat with 10 probes, which decreases the likelihood of escalation to lethal force. Our legacy Taser energy weapons are limited to only 1 or 2 opportunities. The Taser 10 features more accuracy with single trigger pull with individual probe placement, more effectiveness with any probe adaptive cross-connect, more training opportunities with VR integration, enhancing performance and critical thinking skills to promote mutually beneficial outcomes for officers and the communities they protect. And lastly, Taser 10 integrates with Axon's ecosystem of connected products and reporting tools to provide agencies with detailed insights that inform better policy, training, and transparency. Axon is committed to the moonshot goal of cutting gun-related deaths between police and the public by 50% in 10 years. Taser 10 is an energy weapon with vastly increased accuracy and effectiveness and is a key technology that will help us achieve that goal.
The last thing I would offer to you is there was a public comment, and I'd like to address some of the concern there. So, as you all know, running a police department is an expensive venture, and these Taser 10s are not a cheap upgrade. However, with the phasing out of the current version that we're carrying, it's necessary, And though it's not inexpensive, I would argue that this less lethal tool is significantly less than any checks that we may have to entertain from a lethal force encounter. And so any opportunity we get to avoid deadly force encounters, we believe is money well spent.
Mayor Miller?
Yeah, before I get to Mr. Walters, I thought this was the point where I would get to select any member of council to get a demonstration of the taser on them. No, sorry. I had
Mr.
to go there.
Fantini raised his hand.
Okay, sorry, I had to go there. Mr. Walters.
I know that there are generally questions about tasers and use of less lethal weapons like that, but am I correct in saying that this is also combined with de-escalation training so that you're not actually, not only are you not using your firearm, but you're also not using your taser? Your first step is something other than that, de-escalation.
That is correct.
Yeah.
This would fall under the category of mid-level uses of force. So we have at the bottom end de-escalation techniques, verbal tactics. Then it would be hands-on tactics where we're overcoming just passive resistance by an individual to get them handcuffed. This is used in the situation where there's someone that's more likely to inflict injury on the officer or another member of the public. And so our efforts to stop those assaults or prevent them if we can justify that they're very imminent, and then avoid the deadly force encounter that would potentially occur if these situations are allowed to continue escalating. And they're on the same level of force as an impact weapon, such as a baton or pepper spray. And I've experienced both in training, and I will tell you that I would take 5 shots from the taser before I would take pepper spray one time. It's a 5-second incapacitating shock, and there's no residual pain afterwards. Pepper spray lasts for hours. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it's a very easy choice if I was to have to choose one or the other.
And I think that use of the taser shouldn't be taken lightly, but there was, I think, maybe 10 years ago in one of the police department's annual reports from 2 police chiefs back, a story related in the annual report about an incident where APD had to pull a weapon on a domestic violence assailant, and it was a split-second decision, but that officer was able to decide to pull their taser instead of their firearm, and that person is probably alive today because of that. And it's our job to protect them just as much as the victims. So I think it is money well spent. Which is not to say that we endorse APD going around tasing everybody. That's not the point. The point is that it's a tool that APD needs to have while they're doing their jobs. So I'm supportive of this expense.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Hubick?
And one of the things I do want to acknowledge in the Public Safety Committee, we've heard that sometimes just having folks hear the sound of a dog bark will get the de-escalation to happen so much faster. And seeing that this taser now has flashing lights and a much louder sound, it's not exactly the same as a dog bark, but I think that if you're concerned that someone won't take you seriously, having one more step before the taser probe, I think is the right word, is actually released, it seems like a good choice and a good upgrade from the manufacturer.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Moulton?
Thank you. Thanks for the PowerPoint and the information, Chief. And I appreciate hearing what Mr. Walters and Ms. Hubick have to say. Roughly how often in the last 10 years do you think that the tasers have been used?
So out of the hundreds of contacts that we have every year, I would even say thousands of contacts, we're averaging 2 or less per year.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Miller.
Mr. Fantini?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm kind of wondering, so you said currently we're using the what?
X26P.
The X26, which is discontinued, right?
It's no longer going to be supported.
Or supported? Okay. So a lot of the, why did we choose the 10 instead of the 7?
So, as I stated earlier, our current model is well over 10 years old in our inventory, and it's been out for 13 years. My intent is to avoid having to replace these sooner, and by getting the most recent model that's out there, the latest technology. Also, the 7s do not have the expanded range that the Taser 10s do. So you would still be limited to the 25-foot range if you went with the Model 7s. I can tell you that Skagit County went to these 7s about 3 years ago, and they're in the process of upgrading to 10s now.
Thank you.
Other questions? Good questions.
Mayor Miller,
Ms. Hubick?
does the VR training system that is currently being used need to have any new add-ons to have these used during that? Or is a taser like a different setting on the handheld device that's being used during those trainings?
So our current device, other than potentially not fitting in the new holster for the new version of the Taser, will act in just the same way. And those settings can be modified to show the new increased effective range.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Coogan McGrath?
Thank you. And just to clarify that while the amount is $136,000 and change, it's going to be spread over a number of years, 5 years.
It's over a 5-year contract, that's correct.
So I appreciate that. And then we will own it at the end of the 5 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Well, in that case, I move that City Council authorize the mayor to sign contract 26-027-APD-001 with Axon Enterprise, Inc. in the amount of $136,435.20 for the APD Model 10 Tasers purchase.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cleland McGrath and a second by Mr. McDougall to approve the contract as presented. Any additional discussion? Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Ms. Hubick?
Yes.
Mr. Fantini?
Yes.
Mr. Walters?
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath?
Yes.
Ms. Moulton?
Yes.
Mr. McDougall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next up is item 8E, Ordinance 5013, adoption of the 2025 Comprehensive Plan update. This is a discussion item with possible action, and then we'll roll into the developmental regulations. But comp plan up first. Mr. Coleman, when you're ready.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. My name is John Coleman, the Director of Planning, Community, and Economic Development. And we are at potentially the final step in a process that we have been going through for the past 2.5 years. I was looking through my records and I was finding emails from June of 2023 as we were starting up this process, beginning the process of our allocation growth projections, and here we are finally 2.5 years later with our comprehensive plan draft ready and poised to be adopted, and then also in the next ordinance behind that would also be the associated development regulations. I think I've described this process ad nauseum. I'm very confident that the council is aware of where we're at, so I will spare everybody the gory details of what what we're reviewing besides a 20-year update to our comprehensive plan, projecting our next 20 years of growth and planning accordingly to do so. And then the development regulations are the regulations that will be in place to also enact those comprehensive plan policies and goals, and as well as the official zoning map will be updated as part of the development regulations on the second part of this. I'd also like to use this as an opportunity to thank everybody involved, but most specifically Libby Grage, our planning manager. There's not enough adjectives to describe the amount of effort that she's put into, how amazing she's been through this, the number of late nights that she's had. It has been a tremendous amount of weight for her to carry through, and I just wanted to thank her for all of her efforts and acknowledge her. Thank you. So thank you, Libby. From here, I really like to have the council consider this ordinance adopting the 2025 comprehensive plan.
All right, well, you heard it, council. It's over to you all now.
Mayor.
Mr. Fantini.
Miller. Thank you so much. And you seem a little giddy this evening. There's a little more of a pep in your step, I noticed. I have one question. It's a big document, and I've had some questions lately. And apologies for not sending this over in advance, but I think you told us last week, so I just want to ask one more time. I know that there are things in the comprehensive plan that are not merely suggestions or ideas, but are things that we must adhere to. Mm-hmm. And there are some things that are more what we want, but could possibly change in the future if there was a desire. Could you just run down what we are absolutely locking ourselves into as far as does that question kind of make sense?
Yes, except for I don't think it's easy to just run down the few things. There's been numerous legislative changes over the past 3-4 years, well, really in the past 10 years since the last update, that we were required to update, and some of those around accessory dwelling units and housing, making sure that we have projections and zoning in place for the different types of housing. And then some transportation requirements, lots of changes related to climate, including a new climate element, and there's numerous things in the climate-related changes, such as doing reviews for disparate impacts, racially disparate impacts, and so we've done all of those requirements. So we're very careful to do all of the required updates and send our information to the Department of Commerce for their review, and we've got their letters giving their approval. So what is not required is, a lot of the goals and policies in the comprehensive plan are long-range goals, and they guide our development regulations. Those, those we can change. And that really is the vast majority of the changes, the vast majority of the comprehensive plan. So, we're required to follow the Growth Management Act that sets the parameters by which we put what we put into the comprehensive plan, the different elements that are required, and a lot of the different elements, the way they're structured, and the things that we address. But most of the goals and policies are trying to create the future of Anacortes the way the public has informed us and the way this council wants to see it. So those goals and policies then guide the development regulations and the zoning map that you'll see in the second ordinance. But yes, again, in those development regulations in the second ordinance, there's also a lot of requirements from the state, especially accessory dwelling units. And, oh gosh, you really caught me a little off guard trying
I'm
to
sorry.
think of all of the different changes that we're required to do. I apologize for.
It's okay. It was an on-the-spot question, so I appreciate the answer.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Hubick?
If I could jump in just a smidge, I think one good example, as Mr. Coleman indicated, is that it's a mix of what our goals and what our plans are, which is why a lot of times in this, you're not going to see like a due date. So if you were to open up your packet and look at page I-113, there's a picture of the Depot Art Center, and it's talking about retrofitting city buildings. And it's talking about trying to lower greenhouse gases and use renewable energy techniques like heat pump technologies. So we just had the bid to have the air conditioning in the public safety building declined because we couldn't find anybody, obviously. So this is a good opportunity to where staff would take what was put in here and to use that as a guideline to say, these are the things that we've said that we're going to do for ourselves, and when an opportunity comes up to take advantage of the goals and the policies that we've set in place for ourselves, this is when we're going to do it. So there's a mix of what the state tells you that you have to do and what this document put together by our community members in the Planning Commission and then getting approved by us holds us accountable to what we say we want to do. So, and again, as everybody up here has said so many times, thank you both. Thank you all for your work on this. This is not easy. The Department of Commerce is not always easy to work with. They're not always easy to get answers from. And this is a huge step, I think, in the right direction for us to be held accountable to the people that we live with every day. This is a beautiful guiding document with a lot of very realistic and lofty goals in it. And I think it's a great thing for us to look forward to over the next 20 years.
Thank you for picking that example, since we had that discussion last week about can we just put some heat pumps in the police station. So that'll be a discussion. All right, other comments?
Mayor Miller?
Mr. Walters.
I also want to congratulate planning staff for the work on this effort. Planning staff, public works staff, planning commissioners, and city council members. The plan is a significant improvement from 2016, which itself was a dramatic improvement from the document that we had before. But I think that the results on the ground that this plan lays out will be incremental, and that's by design. And I think that we will hopefully see more housing in Anacortes. That's not a bug, that is a feature. We need more competition to help slow the rise in prices and to spread out the tax base. That will be very desirable, I think, for Anacortes, and hopefully this plan and these new regs gets us there. I do not expect that it is a perfect plan. We should fully expect that there is more to come. Both amendments to the plan and to the development regulations. We haven't amended the 2016 comp plan since we passed it in 2016, but we can. We can amend it every year. And we can amend the regs at any time. And I think that we should fully expect to do that as we find bugs in the code. Let's squash those bugs. Let's go after them and make sure that the vision of the comp plan is realized and not let the code get in the way of that. So I'm very pleased with where we are now. I'm very pleased with the work that staff has done and that the process has yielded, and I'm ready to adopt it. So I move that we approve. I move that we approve Ordinance 5013 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Walters and a second by Ms. Hubick to adopt Ordinance 5013. Additional discussion. Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Mr. Fantini?
Yes.
Mr. Walters?
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath?
Yes.
Ms. Moulton?
Yes.
Mr. McDougall?
Yes.
Ms. Hubick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thanks again to the staff, and I know Mr. Walters pointed it out, but also to the Planning Commission. A lot of work there, and to the public for your participation in this. All right, the companion ordinance next up is 8F now, Ordinance 5014, adoption of the 2025 Developmental Regulation Amendments. This is a discussion item with possible action. Mr. Coleman.
I think the only thing I should probably add is, as we're throwing around thank yous, yes, thank you to the public. We had a lot of open houses. We had a lot of people send comments, give oral comments at various public hearings, and of course, the Planning Commission did a tremendous amount of work. You all see the number of pages here, and the many iterations through them, so that there was a lot of work for the Planning Commission. So I feel bad that I didn't thank them outright the first time. They did a tremendous job, and we owe them a huge debt of gratitude, as well as to our climate team who helped guide some of the development of the goals and policies in the climate element and reviewed a lot of background science to get prepared to make those goals and policy recommendations. So also a big thank you to our climate team members. But that's about all I have to add with this. Looking for a motion, hopefully.
All right, Council.
Mayor Miller.
Mr. Walters.
Same notes on this document. And also on page 60, there's an IE that should be an EG. I wonder if we could get that fixed. I also think that there is more work to be done on this one, especially in the street design context, because we really do not have a plan, as I've spoken about before, to really actually afford to build out all our streets the way we envision, to build out all our sidewalks the way we envision. And we need to develop a realistic plan that is affordable, and scale back some of the plans that are in this document and that are in our existing code too. That's not a reason not to move this one forward. I'm just putting in a plug for future work in that area. So I move that we adopt Ordinance 5014, adopting the development regulation amendments.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Walters and a second by Ms. Hubick to adopt Ordinance 5014. Additional discussion. Mr. Francis, vote please.
Mr. Walters.
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Moulton. Sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Moulton. Mr. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. Hubick.
Yes.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next up, 8G, Puget Sound Energy Lease Agreement. It's a discussion item with possible action, and you got a little precursor from Mr. Knoll, but Ms. Swetnam will present this one. And I'll just say it while you're getting up there, 17 years. Ms. Swetnam, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor Miller and members of council, members of the audience. Speaking of things that we've been working on for a long, long time that we're really happy to wrap up tonight, it is my pleasure to present the PSC ground lease agreement for Mount Erie. Mr. Lunsford is here because we've sort of been the negotiation team on this for a number of years, and so we're really excited that we've been able to reach agreement with PSE on this important agreement. So to provide some background, Anacortes Kiwanis Club deeded the summit of Mount Erie to the city in 1951 for parks purposes, with a reversionary interest that said that if the property should ever be used for not parks purposes, they get it back. In 1986, there was an opportunity to lease an area on the summit to Puget Sound Energy to construct a telecommunication tower. They constructed 2 towers and equipment, and that original lease term was for 20 years with a 5-year extension. We worked with the Kiwanis Club to get them to agree that that was a parks purpose, provided that the revenue generated from that lease agreement was used for parks. And that's been the arrangement ever since. In 2000, Kiwanis and PSE entered into an MOU by which Kiwanis would get a portion of the revenue that PSE earned from the site. So the lease that the city has with PSE has been in a holdover status since 2011, meaning we're on a month-to-month basis with the same terms that were in place at the time that the lease expired. So the city and the Kiwanis in 2024, y'all may recall, entered into a memorandum of agreement to work together to negotiate the terms of a new lease agreement with PSE, and the city's taken the lead role in that effort. So, the site, I'm sorry this is so washed out. This is what happens when I don't ask GIS for help with maps. But this is to show you, you can kind of see this is in the forest land. This is the summit of Mount Erie. This is the footprint of the lease area. And I put this in just to show that it's kind of at the end of the road up at the top of the mountain. Here is an aerial image of, this is kind of the end of the road right here, and this is the facility that they've got. This is a remarkably unuseful or helpful map to anybody but a surveyor, but I put it up because it was attached to the lease, and this is the boundary of the lease area. So to talk a little bit about the lease negotiations, we've been working on this since 2018. So it's been a long time. Currently, the city collects $28,107 annually, which is $23.42 a month. When PSC originally reached out to us to start the negotiation process in 2018, they told John and I that they thought the value of the site was somewhere around $17,000 annually, and that felt off to us. So a key player in this is a consultant that the city's engaged, a guy named David Siegel, and we got his information from King County, who used his services as a consultant to help them value cell tower sites within their parks lands. So it's a niche area, but he has been an invaluable resource as we've been going through this process because he understands the industry and he understands the complications of finding values for these sites because they're not apples to apples comparables. They have to understand the industry, what the industry would pay for a lease agreement, what the value of the site is for other providers, et cetera, et cetera. So there's been a lot of work done to really understand this site, what its strengths are, and that's been really helpful for us as we've negotiated much more favorable terms than were originally proposed. So as I said, we've been working with him since 2020, and he's been at the table with us throughout the negotiations and has helped us with the value piece, but he's also helped us understand terms and where we should push back and the types of things that are important to retain for future interests. So the terms that we've negotiated, I'm sorry this text is really small, but what we negotiated was a 5-year term plus 1 5-year extension. That was recommended to us to keep the term shorter so that we could make sure we're updating terms as the industry changes. The rent is going to be split with the Kiwanis, and the arrangement is that the city will receive 66% of the revenue generated for the site. The city gets 33%, the Kiwanis gets 33%. So we're each splitting the revenue that the site generates. The way that's going to work is they will pay to the city $6,000 a month, and then at the end of the year, they'll provide us records of what their revenue was for the year, and then we'll pay the difference. So we're guaranteed $72,000 a year as a minimum, but then if 66% of their revenues is over that, they'll write us a check for the difference at the end of the year. But we did negotiate that $72,000 is a ceiling, so that will be at least what the city gets. So that's significantly more than what they've been paying us, and certainly more than $17,000 a year. So we're glad we got David involved for that. We also negotiated into the agreement a one-time payment of $100,000 to the city only. We don't split that with the Kiwanis. And that's for compensation for the cost and time that we've spent negotiating this agreement. PSE asked, and we agreed to split that into 4 payments of $25,000 each. The reason why we put this on the agenda tonight is they said if we can get this approved by the end of the year, they'll write us that first $25,000 check before the end of calendar year 2025. So that seemed like a good opportunity. We also, some of the terms that were really important were to make sure that the city has control over subleasing. So an important piece as we were negotiating this is that we remembered that at the heart of this site is located in the middle of a city park that's heavily used by the public and is really important to the community. And so we wanted to make sure that there was oversight over new sublocations on the tower. We negotiated a lot of terms about making sure that they couldn't interfere with the public's use of the site. So some of those things are really important to protect the park that surrounds this area. We also felt like it was really important for there to be better transparency than there's been in the past. So the lease agreement requires PSE to provide the city with copies of all of any sublease agreements that they have with anybody that wants to co-locate on the towers, and that we have access to all of the engineering specifications for those sites so we can understand what the visual and potential structural impact will be. So those were my comments on the lease agreement. Staff is obviously recommending approval. We appreciate PSE sending a representative to come up and express their support as well. I don't know if Mr. Lunsford has anything to add. No, we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Moulton.
Thank you, Ms. Swetnam. Thank you, Mr. Lunsford, for all the work and all the years spent on this. A couple of quick questions. Does the $100,000 cover the city's expenses for the consultant?
It covers the city's expenses for the consultant. We haven't done a breakdown of the staff time that we've spent, and I suspect that we're probably in the red on that one, but it certainly covers the out-of-pocket expenses for Mr. Siegel's work.
Okay, great. And do they have any current subleases?
They do have a number of current subleases, including, I believe, AT&T is up there for FirstNet. There's also the Coast Guard, I think, has a site there. There's a couple other commercial subtenants, and I think it's been a while that the revenue generated at the site, the last we knew, was over $100,000, maybe closer to two. So that's what PSE is making on the site with the existing lease agreements, is around $200,000 a year.
Okay, so then for 2026, would we potentially get 33% of that?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so 72,000 is the floor.
Correct.
Okay, great. And I thought I had, and we trust their transparency about letting us know?
We built the transparency into the lease agreement. That's an enforceable term that they can be in default if they don't provide it. If we start seeing construction happening on that site and a new provider equipment popping up, that would be something that we would have an enforceable opportunity to talk with PSE about. So, and that's it's because they're private industry that's regulated and there's a lot of proprietary information. That was a point of discussion for a long time, even just to get copies of the current lease agreements. But there's been some turnover since we've started negotiating this in 2018, and we're really appreciative of the level of transparency that we've experienced with the people that we've been dealing with at PSE in the last year, I would say. So,
okay, I'm very glad to hear that. Thanks again for all your work.
As far as the staff time, I don't have enough hands to count on how many times I've either been updated by you or Mr. Lunsford on how the negotiations are going. But that's what happens when you're negotiating for a decade plus.
Yep, it's been a minute.
All right, any other questions? All right. Council, motions?
Mayor Miller.
Ms. Hubick.
I move we authorize the mayor to execute the PSE ground lease agreement as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hubick and a second by Mr. Fantini to execute the ground lease agreement as presented. Any additional discussion? Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Mr. Walters.
Yes.
Ms. Cleveland McGrath.
Yes.
Ms. Moulton.
Yes.
Mr. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. Hubick.
Yes.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Swetnam. Thank you, Mr. Lunsford. All right. Final item on our published agenda is item 8H, contract award wireless service with related solutions. Oh, look, Ms. Shu is already there, ready to go. Ms. Hsu.
Mayor, council members, the audience, tonight you've accomplished a lot as things of projects that we've been working on for years and years. It's really impressive to see them all come together. What I'm bringing forward tonight is actually a not very impressive contract, but what I'm trying to do is that the city of Anacortes fiber operates in a Nokia backbone, and we've been using a cooperative purchasing agreement with Nokia. The current vendor that we had been, or reseller that we had been using for those Nokia products was not able to come to a successor agreement with the Omnia contract. And so we've been able to identify another reseller using the Sourcewell cooperative purchasing agreement. And this is a memorandum of understanding that just formalizes that they will now become our Nokia reseller. And that helps us in the event that we need to purchase equipment, but also for all of the support that goes along with maintaining that system. So I'm asking for your support tonight in awarding this contract that really is a memorandum of understanding that we will be using a cooperative purchasing agreement with a new reseller.
All right, questions for Ms. Hsu?
Mayor Miller.
Mr. McDougall.
I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign contract 25-293-FBR-001 with Mobile Communications America, Inc. to provide the wireless services and related solutions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McDougall, a second by Ms. Hubig to approve the contract as presented. Additional discussion? Mr. Franciac, vote please.
Ms. Cleveland McGrath.
Yes.
Ms. Moulton.
Yes.
Mr. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. Hubig.
Yes.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes.
Mr. Walters.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for a lot of work in a couple hours by council, and with that work, we'll have a very short council meeting next Monday. So, and that will be our last one of the year. So, thank you very much, and with me.